Okay, so today's daf is daf Chav Tes, and we're actually on the bottom of daf Chav Ches on the base, the Mishnah. And we take it from here. Gamliel says every day one has to daven Shmona Esrei, the 18 brachos in the tefillah of Shmona Esrei. Rishua Omer, Rishua says Me'ein Yud Ches. He doesn't have to, in fact, daven the davening of the Shmona Esrei, of the 18 full brachos that we have. Only he can do a Me'ein Yud Ches, a bit of the Yud Ches, and we'll see what that means in a minute, a little bit. Rabbi Kiva says, Im Shkura Tfilas Befiv. If he's someone who can read and he knows the words very well, then Mispal Yud Ches, he should say the complete Yud Ches. V'im Lav Me'ein Yud Ches, he could say this Me'ein Yud Ches. Is a Tfilas Keva, one who makes his tefillah set, makes it routine. Ein Tfilas Tachanunim, his tefillas, his prayers will not be in the beseeching. I mean, they won't be able to fulfill the purpose of being tachanunim, of being like supplications in that sense. Rishu Omer, Haholach Babakam Sakana, one who goes in a dangerous place. Mispal Tefillah Katzar, he says a short tefillah of Omer, and he says Hashem save your nation. Hashem Yisrael, the remnants of the Jewish people. Bechol Parshas Ibor. Okay, we'll see what this means in the Gemara. Parshas Ibor. Yitzrachem lefanecha means in all their times of trouble, of need, their needs should be before you. Baruch ata Hashem shemei tefillah. Blessed are you, Hashem, He who hears the tefillas, listens to the tefillas. Harechev l'chamor, one who's riding on a carrier v'yispal, he should go down and daven. V'meina liyachal leirid, if he can't go down, you have to turn his face to the direction of Yerushalayim. If he can't turn his face, he should just have in mind his heart towards the Holy of Holies. One who's going in a ship, or in a float. Okay, I think a raft. He should have his mind towards the base Kache Hakadashim. Okay. And the Gemara continues. Says the Gemara, Hani Yirches Keneged me. These 18 brachas of Shmona Esrei. Shmona Esrei. What are they Keneged? What are they? What are they? What are they reference to? What's the? Why is there 18? Amar Rav Hillel, Breder B'Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Keneged Yudches Askarish Amar David B'Havul Hashem B'nei Elim, in the parak of Tehillim of Havul Hashem B'nei Elim, where David HaMelech over there goes through it says 18 times Hashem's name, and therefore this is a tefillah, a mizmar that talks about the kol alamai and the different voices, and it's apropos to be talking about tefillah, and therefore it says Hashem's name 18 times there, and therefore it's 18 brachas and Shmona Esrei. Yosef Omer Keneged Yudches Askarish B'Kriyishma. The 18 times it has Hashem's name in Kriyishma. And Amar of Tanchum Rav Shmuel Levi Keneged Shmona Esrei Chuliyah Shebesidra. Opposite the 18 Chuliyot. Chuliyot are the parts Shebesidra of the spinal cord. Vertebrae on the spinal cord, and it's opposite that. Okay, so whatever the case, wherever the source of why we get 18, obviously we see that whether it's from nature or from the Torah, it's not a happy chance, and there's something to it. Okay. The Gemara continues. One who's praying tzarich sheyichra ad sheyispaku kol chuliyah shebeshidra. He has to daven when he bends, when he has to bend down ad sheyispaku, it sticks out kol chuliyah shebeshidra, all the bones in his back. Okay, they stick out, protrude. Ula amar k'shiyera iser keneged libo, that in the front, they connected your heart, basically. Over here, when you lean over, there's in fact an isser, meaning there's a fold, there's a crease where between the skin where it can hold an isser, hold this coin of an isser. Okay, so Reb Chanina Omer came in Shanan and Rosh Hashuvain Tzarech. He says, no, you don't have to go to these great lengths. Just once you bow your head down, you don't have to do anything more than that. Amarava v'hudim etztar nafshe u'mechazi dekara. Okay, that's only good enough if it hurts him a lot, and just by bending his head, it's clear that he's trying to bow. Okay, says the Gemara, Hani tam nisari tishu sihavan. You're saying that there's only 18 brachas. What do you mean? Count them. There's 19. Amar Rav Levi, Brachos Tzadukim, the bracha of the Tzadukim with Lamashinim, which is a connected the heretics and the different references to the enemies of the Jewish people in spirit. Okay, and those who want to destroy the Jewish people. Therefore, the Brachos Tzadukim Yavne Teknua, they established it later in Yavne. So the Gemara says connected me Teknua. What was that for? Where do they find a source there for that? We just said there's 18 times Hashem's name in these places. Amar Rav Levi, Rabbi Hillel, Bredi Rishmul Bar Nachmani, Keneged Kel HaKavanim. In that same parak Tehillim and Tehillim Chavtes, it only says 18 times Hashem's name, but it also says Kel. It also says a pasuk over there of Kel HaKavanim. Hashem's like graciousness is like this frightening thunder. Okay, so Kel is even though it's not directly Hashem's name, it's a reference to Hashem, and therefore that's the reference to the 19th bracha. And Kel Kanayot Harayim L'Rav Yosef, and L'Rav Yosef, according to Rav Yosef, who said there was the 18 times in Krishma, can I get Echad Sheb'Krishma? We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. The Echad is actually also referring to God, God's oneness, and therefore it's also a reference that could be used as the source for the 19th blessing. And Rav Tanchum Arisha Levi, who says about the backbone, the 18 bones that are vertebrae that are in the back, that's connected Chulia Katana Shebeshidra. This Chulia Katana, this little there's a little bone at the end of the spinal cord, which is not considered in the 18, is considered, so we consider that in fact as also a part of the vertebrae of the spinal cord. Tan Rabban on the very bottom, it's 2 lines from the bottom of Chesam Beis. Shimon Hapakuli, Shimon the cotton merchant, used to sell tufts of cotton. His dear Yudchas Brachos Lefnei Gamliel. He was Mesader, he put them together. Different commentaries explain here that could be that they had the blessings, they didn't have any particular order. He put it together. Lefnei Gamliel al Seder B'Yavne. In front of Gamliel in the Seder in Yavne. And Amar Lehem Gamliel Chachamim. Gamliel turned the Chachamim and he said, Kulam Yesh Adam She'yadei L'Takim Brachos Tzadukim. Does anyone here can be Mesaken, can come up with the wording, the perfect rhetoric for Brachos Tzadukim, again for the bracha that's for the heretics and those who the disturbers amongst the Jewish people. So Amad Shmuel HaKatan stood up v'tikna, and he established it. The Shana Acheres Shechacha. Okay, he was davening for the Amud. He was davening for the congregation, and he forgot the blessing. He got to that blessing, he forgot exactly the wording. He's stumbling. He sat there for 2-3 hours trying to remember. I don't know, literally 2-3 hours, but it means for a great long time. He was trying to remember what the exact wording was. And they didn't bring him up. Okay, V'le'alu means they let him continue with the davening. In those days, the Shliach Tzibor, the one who led the congregation, would actually be a little below, for the reference to Mimam Hakim Karsich Hashem, from the low point, from the lower point, a sign of humility. I call out to Hashem, and therefore he was below, and they didn't make him come up, meaning they didn't make him finish being the Shliach Tzibor. So the Gemara says, why didn't they make him in the middle there, stop him from davening? We have a statement from Yehuda Marav. If one makes a mistake in all the brachas, in Ma'al, I say we don't make him come up, we don't make him stop. But Birchas HaTzadukim Ma'al, I say in the bracha of the Tzadukim for the heretics, we make him. Why? Because Chayshinan, right? We have a chashash. We're worried. Shema minhu. Maybe he himself is a heretic, and therefore he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to say these horrible, this blessing to destroy the heretics. So how come we didn't take Shmuel HaShad and cut him down? So Shadi Shmuel HaKatan is different to Ihu Tikna. He was the one who instituted the prayer. He is the one who came up with the wording himself. So it can't be that he was a heretic. Okay, so Ihu Tikna, he's the one who established it. Says the Gemara, why are we concerned that perhaps he turned from the proper path? He strayed from the proper path. He used to be a good guy, and now he's no longer. Hamarabaya Gamiri, we have a tradition. Tava lehavabisha, that which is good doesn't become bad. Okay, that means it's authentically always been good. There's no reason it should go bad. Says the Gemara, no. When the tzaddik turns from his righteousness and does sin, so the Gemara says no. That reference, that pasuk in Yecheskel is actually a reference to Rasha Mi'ikaro. He was originally not such a. He wasn't a good guy. He was a Rasha. He became a tzaddik, and now he can return to his ways of rishus. How about tzaddik Mi'ikaro, one who's always been tzaddik through and through, wouldn't have this problem. Says the Gemara of Eloi. He can't be. We learned in the Mishnah, famous statement, don't believe in one should never believe in oneself until the day that he dies. Yochanan the Kohen Gadol was 80 years the high priest in the temple. At the end, he went off and he became a heretic. So you see that he could become bad. Amar Abaya, no. Who Yanai, who Yochanan? Yanai, we know that the horrible Yanai, he actually was Yochanan. It was the same guy. And Yochanan became Al Tshuva. So later on, when he went off, he just went back to his bad ways. Rav Amar, no. Yanai Lechud, Yochanan Lechud. It's two different people. Yanai Rosh Miyikara, but Yochanan Tzadi Miyikara. Okay, two different people. So the Gemara says Hanichal Abaya makes sense according to Abaya, who says he was bad in the beginning, and that fits with the Gemara here because that's how he can go back off. El Rav, according to Rav, that he was bad in the beginning. How could he go back off? And if he could go back off, then how come we weren't afraid of Shmuel HaKatan? Okay, so the Gemara says, the Gemara says, the Gemara El Rav Akasha, Rav would answer you, Tzadik Mikara Nami. A tzaddik mikaro, a tzaddik who's always been a tzaddik, also Dilma Hadr, but he could go back. Yihachi Amayla is school. How come they didn't bring him up? Shmuel HaKatan, Shani Shmuel HaKatan is Chaba, because he started saying the beginning words. He said, "V'lam Ashinim Alti Sikva." He said there should never be any hope for them. And then he forgot the rest of the bracha. So he already showed that he had no problem, praying against the tzedukkim. So the Gemara says, "Da Amar Yehuda Amarav Itim Rishum Levi, some say Rishum Levi Lo Shanu Elish Lehischaba." The halacha that we make him to go stop this tefillah in the middle and take him off from being the leader of the congregation is only if he did not start. Haval Hischaba, if he started the bracha of Lamashinim of the Brachos Tzedukim, Gomer he could complete it. Okay? And the Gemara continues. Hani Shiva the Shabbat Kenegami. Once we're talking about the tefillas, the 7 tefillas that we have on the Shabbos davening, what are those opposite? What are those for? The 7 times, the 7 koilas, the 7 voices that David said Alamayim, okay, on the water. Now, a very interesting Rashi over here. What does that have to do with Shabbos? And there's a discussion about that the Torah was given on Shabbos. That's what they say. That we say Kol Hashem Alamayim that we do during the Lichadodi, and therefore there's a connection over there. Okay, so the Gemara says. That's why there's 7. And Hani Tishat Rosh Hashanah Kenegami. Rosh Hashanah we have coming up. The 9 brachas in the tefillah of Rosh Hashanah, what are those opposite? Rav Yitzchak, the Min Yitzchak from Katrigan, said, Keneged Tisha Askar Shamar Chana B'Tfilasa. Chana, in her tefillah, which we understood, we'll see in a minute, she was answered on Rosh Hashanah, which she prayed for her son, and she was given Shmuel Anavi. Right? So there's 9 times she mentions Hashem's name in the Tefillas Chana. Tamar Mar, Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah Nifkeda, Sarah Rachel V'Chana. These 3, Sarah Rachel Chana, got their prayers answered. Okay? So therefore, that's why we have 9. And the Gemara says, Hani Esra Arbadja Tanisa Kenegami. We know in a public fasting in Mesechus Tainus that there's 24 blessings in the Shmon Esrei. What are those? This is opposite the 24 Rananos, the 24 different kinds of song of tefillah. Sha'amar Shlomo B'Shah Shehichnas Aron LeBeis HaKadosh. When Shlomo brought in, after a long wait, he brought the Aron back into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. He said 24, Shushar Mershechem, and the whole story over there. So the Gemara says, Ihachi, if it worked, then Kol Yom and Amin Amrina. Why don't we just say 24 every day? So Gemara says, Amos Amrinu Shlomo. When did Shlomo say it? Specifically, B'Yom Derachmi, on a day of special need. So Na'anami B'Yom Derachmi Amr Lewias, on a day in special need of day of famine. Okay, so we're at the first of the wide lines on Chav Tesam and Aleph. Rabbi Shua Omer Me'in Shmon Esrei. The one does a bit of the Shmon Esrei from the Shmon Esrei. What does that mean? My Me'in Shmon Esrei. Rav Omer Me'in Kol Bracha O Bracha. That he actually, according to Rashi, he says the beginning and the end of each bracha, but he skips the middle part. So he would say, V'lam Hashinim Alti Yisikva. Baruch Atah Hashem, the bracha, what's the bracha? We say Shayim Machni Azidim. So he would say the beginning and the end of each bracha, so he would get the 18, but he only gets a part of the 18. Okay, a part of each blessing. That's how Rav says. Shmuel Amar, you know there's a special blessing that's called Me'in Shmon Esrei. What does that mean? It's going to be a tefillah, we're going to say in a moment, that's going to include within it all the elements of the 18 tefillah, brachas and Shmon Esrei. Havinenu Hashem Elokeinu l'das rakecha. Bring us Hashem to know your ways, okay, which is das. Umalos levevenu lirasecha, which is nachas reinu b'tshuva, right? Circumcise our hearts to fear you. V'sislach lanu liyas geulim, and forgive us to be redeemed. And take us away from pains, and let us, enjoy the fatness of your land. And from the 4 corners, let you bring in all the exiles, and those who make mistakes on your das, you should judge. And on the evil ones, you should pass your hand over. And the tzaddikim should rejoice in the building of your city, and the fixing of your heichal. Bas Karen LeDavid Avdecha, and in the raising of the horns of David your servant, Ubarichas Ner Levan Yisham Shichecha, Terem Nikar, before you call out Atasane, before we call out you answer, Baruch Atah Hashem Shemei Tefillah. Okay, so that was the Tefillah Me'in Shemona Esrei, and then he does the first three as they are written, the last three as they're written, in the middle are going to be like in this setup. And Light Allah Amaya Amad Damas Levanino. Abaya quickly interjects and says Abaya used to curse out anyone who would say Havininu as being lazy and not saying the full thing. Hamar Rav Nachman Shmuel Kol Hashana Kula, the whole year Mispal Adam Havininu. Everyone could daven Havininu. Chutz Matzai Shabbos Matzai Yom Tiv. Not besides for after Shabbos, after Yom Tov, and those davenings of Ma'ariv, they should start labor Havdalah because you have to say Havdalah. You have to add Atachay Antanu. There's no place to do it over here. So the Gemara says, why not? Maskav LaRab Bar Shmuel v'neimra bracha revius b'fnei atzma. Say the fourth bracha by itself. Do the bridge version in the middle, interject and say the whole Atachay Antanu. Okay, so the Gemara says, Mila Tanaj, did we not learn Rikiva Imra bracha revius b'fnei atzma? This is Rikiva's solution. Say the fourth bracha by itself. So really, as I remember Haida, you say in Haida. So the Gemara says like this: Atu kol hashana kula me'avdina Rikiva. The whole year around, we don't do like Rabbi Akiva. The Hashtanami David that we should do like him now. What does that mean? Why don't we do like Rabbi Akiva the whole year around and make the bracha of Atachan Antanu its own bracha, right? We include it in the Atachan, we don't make its own bracha. Why not? Because Tamni is sorry Tikkun, Tishru's loy Tikkun. There's only 18 brachas there in Masakin, right? Or 19 with the bracha of the Tzedukim, but not 19 or 20, right? So you can't add another bracha. And Hachanami Shiva Tikkun, Tamni loy Tikkun. Only over here in the Havinenu, we have the 3 before, the 3 after, and this 1 in the middle. So you can't add and make it 8 now. So Maskal Marzutra v'Nichalal Michalal Havinenu Hashem Elokeinu Hamavdu Mikosh L'chol. Simple question. Why don't you just answer that we should be able to put in the Atachan Antanu into a shortened version as we did the rest of Havinenu? The more answers Kasha. Okay. More continues, 2 dots. Amar Rabbi Vayi, Amar Rabbi Bibi, Amar Abaya, Kol Hashana Kula Mispal Adam Havinenu. A whole year round, everyone could daven Havinenu. Anyone could daven Havinenu. Chutz mi Moisek Shamim, in the times of the rain, when we have to say Mashav Ruach Amar Negashim. If they should tzarech light, and also because we should tzarech light, She'elas Brachos Hashanim, we have to ask for the rain, right? I'm saying Talamatar. The bracha. So Maskal Marzutra v'Nichalal Michlal v'Dasheni v'Noizar Tzecha v'Sein Talamatar. Again, why don't you add it in? So the Gemara says Asui la'atrude. He'll come to mix up his mind. He'll get mixed up. The Gemara says Yihachi Havdal l'Chayin Adas Nami. Before you had a question, the Gemara answered Kasha. It's a good question. We don't know the answer that you can't include Havinenu, and they didn't answer back that you're going to start getting messed up if you start trying to remember how to fit it in. You'll get messed up. So Nami Asla Atrude. The Gemara says Amri Hasam over there came on the Asiba Tchilas Lusa. Since Atachan Antanu is stuck into the first bracha after the 3 of Atachan and Ladam Das, and therefore loy matrid, you're not going to come to tirda, you're not going to come to getting confused. Hach over here, Kevan Da'asi B'em Tzlus, it's coming in the middle of the davening. The matrid, he's going to get tired. Okay, the Gemara continues. Maskal Ravashi. Ravashi says, wait a minute. V'neim Rabbi Shemei Tefillah. Why not just add it in Shemei Tefillah? Tamar Tanachim Ravasi. Tough. 1 minute mistake. V'lehiskir Gevursh Kshamim B'tchias HaMesim. He forgot to say Gevursh Kshamim B'tchias HaMesim of Mashav Ruach Amar Negashim. Machzirna, say we make him go back to the beginning of his tefillah. And She'ela, if he didn't say Talamatar, Brachos Hashanim, Machzirna, say we don't make him go back. Why? Into supplication. You could say it another bracha of supplication at the end, right before Maidim, and add it into Shemei Tefillah. So too, why can't he just add it into Shemei Tefillah over here? Right? And V'Havdalah B'chayin Adas, so the more answers, Tashani, where one made a mistake and he forgot it, simple forgetting is allowed to put it into the Shemei Tefillah. But one forgot on purpose, meaning in our case here, where we're not allowing him to put it in, that's not going to be okay, and to put it into Shemei Tefillah. Okay, then the Gemara continues. Gufa. We said earlier, Amar Rav Tanachim, Amar Ravasi. If one made a mistake, he forgot to mention Gevursh Kashamim in the middle of Tchias HaMesim. Machzir Naisei, we make him go back. But She'ela B'Brachos Hashanim Machzir Naisei V'Nishiyach Leim B'Shemei Tefillah. V'Havdalah B'Chayin Adas Machzir Naisei V'Nishiyach Leim Rakos, because he could say it on the Havdalah after. So the Gemara asks, Meisvei. If one made a mistake, V'Loi Hiskir Gevursh Kashamim Tchias HaMesim. He neglected to say Gevursh Kashamim Tchias HaMesim. Machzir Naisei, we make him go back. She'ela B'Brachos Hashanim. so we make him go back. So you see that what? We make him go back. So the Gemara answers like Kasha. If he's davening by himself, he does not have, he has to go back. If he's davening with tzibur, he does not have to. So the Gemara says, "Tzibur, my time aloi." Bishum d'shama shliach tzibur, because you can hear the shliach tzibur in his repetition say it again. So Yihachi, why are you saying Mipnei shiach alayim b'shemei tefillah? Why are we giving that as the reason? Mipnei shemei mishliach tzibur mipaili. The reason is because he's going to hear from the shliach tzibur the bracha. He's going to say Amen, and shemei hakayin is going to be as if he said it. So the Gemara says, "Ili must both be talking about a guy who's davening b'yechidus by himself. V'loy kasha hada'adker koydem shemei tefillah, one who remembered prior to shemei tefillah. Hada'adker b'osar shemei tefillah, you can't stick it in shemei tefillah after you already passed shemei tefillah." Amar Rebbe Tanachum Amar Ravasi, top of Chavtes Amar Abeis. Amar Rebbe Tanachum Amar Ravasi, Amar Rebbe Shmuel Levi. Ta, if one made a mistake for his Rosh Chodesh b'avodah, he neglected to put in the tefillah of Rosh Chodesh in avodah. Avodah goes back to avodah. Niskar b'hodah, if you remember in the middle of modim, choyz la'avodah. B'sim shalom, choyz la'avodah. If you finish completely his davening, choyz la'reish goes back to the beginning. Amar Papa Berider of Hachabar Ada, Hoda Amaron. This that we said Sayim, if he completed, choyz la'reish goes back to the beginning. Loy Amaron Ela she'akaraglav. If he already moved his feet back to say Oyster Shalom, have a loy akaraglav. If he did not move his feet back, choyz la'avodah. He in fact is just going to go back to the beginning of Ritzay. So the Amar Lehi told him. In halacha, how do you know this? I heard it from Abba Mari, Abba Mari Mirav, and Abba Mari from my father Mari from my master Abba from Rav. Amar of Nachman, Amar of Yitzchak. Amar of Nachman. Bar Yitzchak, Hadamar, on this that we said, Akaraglav, Chayz L'Roish, if one moves his feet back, is considered to complete his davening. Now he has to go back to the beginning if he forgot Yalav Yavai. Le'amar is not said, that's only is if he's not ruggle, he's not used to saying certain his own personal supplication, beseeching to Hashem after the tefillah. He's going to go back to avoda, even if he's oker his ragla. Okay, Ikad Amri Samsim Rav Nachman Yitzchak Hoda Amaron Ki Loy Oker Ragla Ches Lavoda. No, this that we said that if he didn't move back, he goes back to avoda. That was only said Ela Sharag Loymer Tachanun Machat Filasai. Le'amar Ela Sharag Loymer Tachanun Machat Filasai. Havlam Ein Rag Loymer Tachanun Machat Filasai. If he doesn't usually say his own personal beseeching after to Hashem, Ches Lavoda, he has to go back to the beginning because it's as if he completed his davening when he said Shalom Vayim Master Shalom Aleinu Al Kol Yisrael V'Yom Amen. Before that, when he said Mavarach Hazami Yisrael Bashalom. Okay, if he just finishes then usually, even if he didn't move his feet back, that's going to be enough for him to have to go back to the beginning. Says the Gemara, one who makes his tefillah, we said in the Mishnah, keva, set routine, is not going to be tachanun. It's not going to have the same to sort of tachanunum. So the Gemara says, my keva, what does routine mean? How do you define routine? Anyone, his tefillah seems like a masay. It seems like a burden on him. As we said earlier, he davens from the beginning, within the width of 2 doors by the beginning of the shul. So it looks like he's just trying to rush out. He's not super excited, and therefore it looks like a pain, and the fact that it's a pain is going to make it tefillas keva. For Rabbanan Amri, second opinion, kol mi she'eino omer b'lashon tachanunum. Anyone who doesn't say in the language of beseeching, if he doesn't say in the tone of asking Hashem, really like taking it seriously, that Hashem's listening to him, that's not going to work. Third answer, Rabbi Rav Yosef, Damri Tavai, l'chadish b'davar. No, he has to be able to add his own unique twist. Every single time he davens, he has to be able to, life's happened, and at least 6 hours have transpassed since this chiyuv of Shema to Mincha, from Shachar to Mincha, from Mincha to Ma'ariv, from Ma'ariv the next day. So therefore, he should have something personal that he should be able to pray for. Okay? Amar Rav Zera Ana, I yachilna l'chadshei by Milsa. I could come up with a new thing every time. I'm scared because I'll start thinking, I don't know what to do about my landlord, and then all of a sudden he'll get into thinking about his landlord for the next half hour, and he'll miss the rest of tefillah by being distracted. Habaya bar Ovin. Abai, the son of Amir, of Chanina bar Rav, and Tamar Tavai, they said, a fourth answer, and the last answer, Kol she'edim mispalim dumei anyone who doesn't daven with the oranging, the reddening and the oranging of the sun. When the sun's turning this orangish red color, which is a reference to in the morning when it's a chama, and when the sun's rising, and also when the sun's setting, mincha davening right before the proper time. It's the famous machlokas and the commentaries about the famous argument about the best time to daven mincha, whether it's mincha gedola, right, which starts at 6.5 hours into the day, when one has the first chance, right? The concept of Vayash came out from Baboker, and the concept was Rizis Merakdim Mitzvahs. Or is it better to do Mechama, to actually daven the most opportune time, to daven right before the sun sets? Okay? And therefore, the Gemara is saying you're supposed to do Mechama. Tamar Rav Chibar Abba, Amar Rav Yochanan, mitzvah l'spal to do Mechama, is a mitzvah to daven with the reddening of the sun. Rav Zera Ma'ikra, what's the pasuk? The pasuk says, Yira'ucha im shemesh v'lefnei yereach darim. So in front of the moon, meaning in front of the room, im shemesh l'fnei yareach, meaning right when the sun's setting, sun rising, the sun setting. That's the most opportune time. And the Gemara says, "Light alab marava and marava." They would curse on a person, hamad dematzli and dumdumichama, because it's tricky. You're gonna end up missing this man. So the Gemara says, my time, the time will get torn up. It'll literally get torn up, but it means he'll miss the time. Okay, so therefore it's better to daven early. The Gemara continues. I'm sorry, but one who goes through a place of sakana, of danger, mispal tefillah katzari has a short prayer for him, and we said b'chol parshas ibur. Right? In all these times of danger, what is the language of Parshas Ha'ibur? So the Gemara says, my Parshas Ha'ibur, Amar Rav Chizda, Amar Ukva, Afilu b'shah sha'at mismale alehem ibra ki'isha. Obra. Okay, so this is the language from Evra, which is an anger, right? And Obra is pregnancy. So even when you're filled with anger against the Jewish people, like a pregnant woman is filled with the embryonic fluid and the fetus and the whole stomach, you kol tzarcheihem lefanecha, all of their needs should still be before them, and meaning don't allow this time to be an opportune time. The fact that he's going through a makam sakana to harm me in any way. Okay? Even in the time when they're over, when the lashon of passing, when they're transgressing the words of Torah, you called all the niche before you. One who's going to place of there's groups of wild animals there, velistim, or bandits. He does a short tefillah. He said, this is the tefillah. Do your will, make your will on Shemayim above, and make a calmness of the spirit to those who fear you from underneath. And what's good in your eyes, do. Baruch atah Hashem shemei tefillah. Rishua Imer Shama Shavas Amcha Yisrael. You Yishma Shama Shavas Amcha Yisrael. Hear the cries out from the Jewish people, your nation. V'aseh Meheira Bakashasam, and do very quickly their desires or their needs. Baruch atah Hashem shemei tefillah. And Relezer Reb Tzadok Amar Shama Shemei Tzaakas Amcha Yisrael. V'aseh Meheira Bakashasam. Baruch atah Hashem shemei tefillah. Acher Moimrim Tzarchi Amcha Yisrael Merubim. The needs of the Jewish people are great. V'daitik Ritzar, and their minds are small and short, meaning our minds aren't so expansive. Yiratzal Fanecha Hashem Elokein should be your will. You should give everyone his needs in terms of his parnasa. And each body what is missing. Baruch atah Hashem shemei tefillah. Ravuna halacha kacherim, the halacha is like kacherim. Amalei Eliyahu Rav Yehuda, Achva the Salach Hasida. Eliyahu once told Rav Yehuda, the brother of Salach Hasida, Loi tirtzach, don't get angry, v'loi sechati, and you will not sin. Loi sarvi, don't get drunk, v'loi sechati, you won't sin. Uksha'ati yitz l'derech, and when you go out on the way, which this is how it comes in as a reference from our Gemara, when you go out on the way, he malich b'kainecha, take counsel with your Creator. It's saying go out. So the Gemara asks, "Mahi malich b'kainecha?" It's say, Rav Yaakov, Rav Chizda, zu tfilas haderech. That's the tfilas haderech that we say. From Rav Yaakov, Rav Chizda, kol yitz l'derech, tzol spal tfilas haderech, the prayer for the way. The Gemara says, "My tfilas haderech, yiratzim l'fanecha Hashem Elokai, Hashem my God, shetaylichei l'shalom, you should bring me to peace. Tatzileni l'shalom, you should bring my steps in peace. Tatzmicheni l'shalom, you should support me in peace. Tatzileni, you should save me. B'kaf kol oyev v'oyref, any enemy v'oyref and wild animals. B'derech on the way. V'sishlach brach b'maaseh yadai, send your blessing in my works of my hands. V'sitnei l'chein l'ches l'rachem enecha b'nei korai. Baruch atah Hashem shemei tefillah." Okay, and Amar Abaya la'olam l'shtatev inish nafshe b'hadit zibura. Okay, so how should he say? Rabbi says you should always include himself with the tzibur. It's not good to put yourself alone. As we, is good to note that tefillah, we said before about tefillah tachanunim, is very important when one's davening b'yechidus, when the sort of the microphone's on you and pressure's on you to perform a good tefillah. When one davens with the tzibur, we had the concept of minyan, me'eda hara azos, and we learned about the concept of 10, and there's a power, spiritual power to 10 that uplifts the tefillah in a way that is not necessarily the same demanding in terms of tachanunim or the tone that one would have. Okay, and the Gemara continues and says, "Hey Chanema, what should he say according to Abaya? Yiratz mofanecha, Hashem Elokeinu, our God, shetaylichenu l'shalim v'chule." Okay, and then the Gemara is going to talk about when one says the prayer of the Tefillah Saderech. Okay, so we'll take it from here tomorrow.